Welcome back. As you know, I am Eli, the computer guy, here for your daily dose of the roars as we talk about the stupid stuff going on in the world of technology today. I am on location here at American Underground in Durham, North Carolina. Tonight I'm teaching a class on extending AI capabilities using REST APIs. These are free to the end user classes. You just show up and learn. If you're interested in our schedule of classes, go to silicondojo.com. If you want to help support free to the end user classes, there is a donor box link down below. And with that, yay! Intel is winning. Intel is winning the participation trophies. Yay! Under the Trump administration, Intel is a winner again of participation trophies. Doesn't that make you excited as an American? So this is interesting. This is curious. And to be clear, this might be Intel's turnaround. It might. I wouldn't bet on it, but maybe. Apparently, Intel is now moving closer. They're moving closer to building, to fabbing Apple's lowest level of M processors. Yay! They won the booby prize. Intel moves closer to building Apple's entry-level M-series chips on 18A from 2027. Insider claims chip-making deal could be close at hand. So Intel has been trying to figure out, like, what the hell to do. Again, you talk about a company that was something and now it's not so much anymore. Intel is that company. It wasn't that long ago, right? 2018, Intel was still Intel. And now it's Intel, right? But anyways, Intel is trying to make a turnaround. God knows what their actual plan is. But hey, the Trump administration purchased 10% equity in Intel, so that shows confidence or something, all right? So basically, they're trying to turn things around. So one of the things that Intel is trying to do is they're trying to have fabs that basically they can be the outsourced manufacturing for other people's processors. So one of the reasons that TSMC has become so successful is they produce other people's chips. They do not try to compete with anybody. You hand them the plans for your chip, you hand them, a tractor trailer full of cash, and they give you wafers on the other side. There's no competition there, right? So Intel, for most of its life, basically, they designed and they manufactured, they fabbed their own wafers. So basically, they weren't a company that you would outsource to. So the idea now is in this modern world that one of the ways that Intel can be successful is what if they basically are an outsource manufacturing for people to be able to manufacture their own chips. And whether that will work, who the hell knows? They started talking about this years ago. And to be clear here, I am so snarky at Intel because I used to be excited about Intel. When they started talking about this outsourced fab work years ago, I actually thought it was a really damn good idea. And then Intel did whatever the fuck Intel's been doing for the past couple of years. And so at this point now I'm like, who the hell knows? And so it'll be curious to see how this goes. It is also interesting here with Intel. Again, they're going to be manufacturing Apple's chips, so that seems like a good thing, but they're going to be the entry level, the lowest quality of chips. So is that really the ringing endorsement that it sounds like it is, right? When you hear Intel is going to be manufacturing Apple chips again, like there's the idea of what that means, and then it's like, yeah, their lowest level. Their lowest level. Let's see here. Apple is preparing to qualify Intel's 18A process for its lowest end M-series processor, according to a post on X from analyst Ming-Chi Kuo. He reports that Apple has already signed an NDA with Intel and received the 18AP PDK 0.9.1 GA with internal simulation work tracking close enough to expectations for the company to wait on the full 1.0 and 1.1 releases currently planned for the first quarter of 2026. On that trajectory, Intel could begin shipping production silicon in the second or third quarter of 2027. This would mark the first time Intel has fabbed any Apple silicon since Apple dumped the company entirely in late 2023. The chip in question is the base M-class SoC system on a chip used in the MacBook Air and iPad Pro, which together accounted for around 20 million units in 2025. Kuo expects annual shipments of this tier to settle between 15 million and 20 million units in 2026 and 2027 as Apple introduces a lower-cost MacBook MacBook line built around an iPhone class processor. These volumes are significant for any new foundry customer, yet small enough that they would not shift TSMC's near-term revenue mix or its lead in advanced manufacturing. One of the interesting things with this too is I think Apple is running into the problem that TSMC is now currently overloaded for its manufacturing capacity. Basically, they literally have more orders than they can fulfill. So, Tim Cook, being, a good capitalist, has to go out there and try to find some other vendor. And so that's the interesting thing here. So they're leaving their high-end chips with TSMC and basically trying to farm out the lower end chips now to Intel, which is a hell of a role reversal, right? Apple's own motivations are twofold. The company remains anchored to TSMC for its most advanced products, from iPhones to the higher-end M-series parts, but has been pursuing greater supply chain redundancy since the 2020-2022 disruption cycles. Placing its least complex Mac-class SoCs on a second source reduces single foundry exposure without touching the flagship lines that rely on TSMC's flagship silicon. The move would align with Washington's push for more domestic semiconductor manufacturing. Intel's Arizona fabs are central to that policy and would be natural candidates to host 18A for an Apple order. This is also probably Apple trying to kiss Trump's ass, right? Because one of the things with Trump, the Trump administration, the American people, for some reason, bought 10% equity in Intel. Nobody should. I don't care if Biden did this. I don't care if Obama did this. I don't care who did this. We should not be buying 10% stakes in these companies. But anyways, one of the big things that Trump needs is Trump needs visible wins, right? It needs headlines. So Apple shifting manufacturing to Intel, that makes Intel look more successful than it may be. The other thing that I get concerned here too is there's this whole idea that we need to get to silicon self-sufficiency. The idea that America needs to be able to build American silicon. This is a way that Americans can start building more silicon, but is it what we really want? Literally at this point in time, Apple is outsourcing to Intel to create their lowest tier processors. Is that the self-sufficiency that we are looking for? Again, a bit of a question there. So yeah, that's what's going on. It'll be curious to see how things go. Again, in the technology world, it's important to understand in the technology world things can they don't really turn on a dime, but they do turn surprisingly quickly, right? It was only a couple years ago. A couple of years ago, it was considered Google had lost the AI race, and there was no way for them to catch up again. And now they came out with their Gemini 3 model, and apparently that's trouncing ChatGPT. And so Sam Altman has come out and said, code red, oh my golly, Google is now better than us, right? And that happened in a rather quick period of time, right? Intel was Intel not that long ago, and now it's basically a laughing stock compared to TSMC. The important thing to understand, though, is Intel could theoretically change things around. One of the fascinating things with Intel, when you look at Intel, is it doesn't really make sense why they failed to the degree that they have, right? They had real vision, so they were doing computer vision years ago, a decade ago, right? They were doing 5G modems like a decade ago. They were doing a lot of really cool technology, and then fucking failed miserably on it. Like it's weird, right? Like when Meta is failing with AI, you're like, okay, well, Meta is not an AI company, so again, it makes sense that they might fail. But like when you're dealing with you're a hardware, circuitry electronics company. How do you fail at 5G? How do you fail at computer vision? How do you fail as so many of these fundamental, the Atom processor, right? The Atom processor was supposed to compete with ARM. They failed at that. Like when you look at Intel's failures, one of the important things to understand here is that they're weird failures. It's like, no, but I don't understand why they failed. It's not even necessarily that now to be clear, TSMC has done a great job, but it's not necessarily even that TSMC has been is like such a better company in some ways. I guess it's a better company, but it's not like TSMC was guaranteed to win. Like Intel had to do a lot of metrically stupid crap to put them into the position that they're in. And so one of the things to realize with this is that if Intel stops doing stupid crap, they might actually have a shot of getting back to the top dog position. You know, they have a shot. They have a shot. In somebody else's timeline, in a completely different timeline, they have a chance of being on top again. In our timeline, yeah, that's probably not going to happen. So anyways, what do you think about this? What do you think about Intel? Intel being in line to produce Apple's lowest tier chip. What do you think is going to happen with Intel? What do you think with all this? Put your thoughts down below. If you like these videos, give us a thumbs up. If you hate these videos, give us a thumbs down. Call me amazing. Call me a dumbass. Just be a real Lutnick and put that strong American comment down below. I am on location here at American Underground in Durham, North Carolina. I'm teaching a class tonight on extending AI capabilities using the REST APIs. If you're interested in free end user hands-on technology classes, you can go to silicondojo.com to see what our current schedule is. If you want to help support these free end user classes, there's a donor box link down below. And with that, see y'all later.